Good evening, all, and thank you for joining us for the 8th year of the award ceremony for the reconstruction of destroyed Palestinian villages. My name is Rim Kalsoom. I'll be your host today. I am one of the jury members for this year's competition. And we still have some people joining us at the moment, but as they continue to join today's award ceremony, we will proceed with starting the today's program. I'll be passing on to Dr. Salman Abu Sitta to introduce the competition to you all and share some thoughts, after which we will continue to proceed with today's announcement and presentations. As Dr. Salman is going to introduce the competition to you all, I'll be sharing my screen with a couple images. So Dr. Salman, over to you.
Thank you, Rim. I welcome you all to the 8th year of competition for the reconstruction of destroyed Palestinian villages. This year, we have 53 participating students from 12 universities. I hope many of them are here tonight. I see from the attendance, there is a good attendance tonight. And these students submitted finally 21 projects out of 30 originally planned. Well, it's not a bad result. It's a good one. But what is tragic this year is the absence of Gaza students. Gaza students, as you know, as Gaza is subject to the most barbaric attack in history. That is the Israeli genocide of Gaza. It is seen by the whole world, but very little action is taking place. We shall call this year event the Gaza Competition Year in memory of Maha Jamal Mansour, the winner of the 4th year competition. You can see her picture now. She won the first prize in year 4 about the village of Suhmata. Her design was admirably exhibited and discussed by the people of Suhmata, which we arranged. The recording of this presentation and the reaction of the people of Suhmata are both posted on the website of Palestine Land Society. Maha, a young, brilliant architect, was looking forward to a successful future, but she was murdered in her home by the barbarians, the Israeli soldiers, on 27 of November 2023. She was one of 2.3 million Palestinians living in the crowded camps of Gaza Strip. You may ask, what is Gaza Strip? Why is it crowded? Who are the people in it? You have heard ad nauseum of the hostages to be released, but you are not allowed to know about the real hostages, the largest number of hostages, the hostages with the longest duration, the hostages who are attacked by sea, land, and air, by tanks and planes, by blockade and starvation, by erasure of their names and history, by the denial of their rights and their mere existence. The real hostages are the people of Maha, 2.3 million Palestinians in Gaza Strip. In 1948, they were expelled by Israeli soldiers from 247 villages, as you can see in the map. They have been expelled through 90 massacres and held in crowded camps for 27,000 days so far. We can see the map of the origin of these refugees now on the map, on the screen. That is how Gaza Strip was created. It houses the people of these villages you see in the screen, 247. They were attacked in 1948, depopulated, and put in one small place called Gaza Strip. They have lived in the southern district of Palestine, which is 12,500 square kilometers. But now they live in the southern district of Palestine, which is called Gaza Strip, which is only 1.3% of Palestine, as you can see in the second map. Second map shows you the Gaza Strip, which is only 1% of the area of Palestine, while their home was 50% of Palestine. And that's why they are crowded. They are crowded at a density of 8,000 persons per square kilometer. And now they are crowded at double that because they are moved from one place to another. So Gaza Strip is the largest and longest prison in the world. They still fight to return home, to break through the prison fence built around them. They will continue to demand their natural, legal, and historical right to return home. You are here today to help them. For over 8 years and counting, you have reconstructed in paper over 60 villages with different vernacular architecture. This composition, which is now in the 8th year, will go on until we redesign all destroyed Palestinian villages. Then surely will come the day when these villages will be rebuilt on their original locations. And that is the purpose of our competition. This is your task, you young architects. This is your task. You have to take it up as your cardinal duty. I'm sure this will happen. Palestine will be free from river to sea. Now I hand over to Rim to introduce the jury. Thank you, Rim.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Salman. And apologies, it had come to my attention that my screen was sharing in the beginning of the presentation, but it's a technical issue that hopefully will not be repeated. So I'll be
sorry, Rim. Just before you start, who is allowing guests to enter? Because I think we have a couple of people waiting.
I'm doing that at the
You
moment.
do? Okay.
There's no one that I can see in the waiting room at the
Anna?
moment, but
Okay.
I am getting notifications as they come
Thanks.
along.
Thanks. Thank you.
Perfect. So I would like to pass on to jury member Dr. Nasser Gozari to speak a bit more about this year's competition. Dr. Nasser has been a key member of the jury since the competition was established 8 years ago, alongside Dr. Yara Sharif and Dr. Angela Brady, who will share with us their thoughts on this year's submissions. As all of the previous years, without fail, this year we were really inspired by the projects submitted by students. There was a total of 12 universities, 53 students, and 31 teams. Unfortunately, the 4 universities in Gaza were absent, as Dr. Salman mentioned, but there is always a 9th year. After this, we invite the shortlisted teams to present their projects in no particular order. We will then proceed with announcing the winners after this. So, Dr. Nasser, I will pass on to you.
Thank you, Rim, and thank you very much, Dr. Salman Abusita, for such a comprehensive and touching and emotional background. Of course, it's always amazing to hear you. I really must praise Dr. Salman for such a sustained energy to keep this project going and his commitment to this project, this initiative, which I call it the project. And he's been doing that for over 8 years. And I'm sure that, you know, with providing all the incredible background information, as well as the intellectual inspiration, this projects and this competition would never ever would happen. So well done, and thank you very much. The second thing I want to say is that this year specifically, the work that Dr. Salman has done should be acknowledged, especially because of the psychological and subconscious impact of the genocide in Gaza, which hasn't only impacted all of us, but obviously has also resulted in Palestinian students from Gaza missing this. And of course, it equally has been very difficult for over the whole year for all of us to be able to think about this. But, you know, given that due to Dr. Salman, this project has happened. So well done to Dr. Salman, but also very well done to the jury members that for the last 8 years they've kept going and been committed, but also especially this year. And we know that Dr. Yar Sharif has lost a large number of family in Gaza, but she managed to maintain a commitment to this project. And I also like to thank, of course, all the students and their tutors for their commitment and for the submission, which is really admired given the situation and condition at the moment. And I like to also say that, which is what I say every year, but it is quite important to realize that this competition as a project, this initiative as a project is not a conventional one. Because its objective is very important. It is actually an important and critical aperture to visualize the history and the narrative of the Palestinian villages. So not only it brings to life the deliberately oppressed and erased, or the intention of erasure of these and the traces of these villages, but the project also celebrates and marks their existence and challenges the practice of erasure. So I always see this project as not only as a conventional, an architectural planning competition, but actually marking the history, marking very important narratives, and contributing to a very scientific documentation of these destroyed villages. And of course, equally very important, what is happening over the years, the competition that are being submitted, the ideas that are submitted are becoming more and more and more specific, very specific to the conditions of destroyed villages, villages that have been destroyed deliberately, but also importantly that they therefore become very unique ideas, and they contribute to the discourse of what kind of architecture and planning should be put forward for villages that have been destroyed. So these projects are also equally, not only academically, but also architecturally making contribution to the discussions about how a destroyed village should be reconstructed. So that's quite important. Now, going to the entries, this year was already, as Reem has mentioned, the submissions were actually of a higher quality, and we say that every year, but this year specifically, quite interesting that the qualities were quite high. And there was quite a lot of specific attention made to the social and environmental ecologies. This is something which is very important, of course, we're dealing with that, but the social ecology in the context of destroyed villages are quite important attention to be paid. A number of submissions had very high quality architectural and spatial resolution. And this is very good to see, because this is always one of the dilemmas of how much balance you give to certain aspects. So the fact that architectural and spatial resolution were given importance by some of the entries was quite important, and it's very inspiring, and we really enjoyed that. Many of the entries provided a very in-depth and comprehensive research of physical and cultural context, given the and they were given, some of them were given really good attention to regain the natural resources and respecting the agriculture and some other critically specific aspects of Palestine, given its context, physical and environmental context. And some of the submissions were also concentrating more on the urban strategy and planning, and much more beyond just purely buildings. And their emphasis on ecology was quite important and was welcome, because many of these villages and are isolated, and I think the isolation is also one of the problematic issues when it comes to reconstruction of villages. Something that we could talk about a little bit later, hopefully by the other juries when they make references to specific issues. There were also welcomed increase in the number of submissions who were very clear in their presentations. So we enjoyed seeing some very good, very clear and less kind of loaded presentations. So that was quite important. While there were also others that concentrated on the innovation of spatial and architectural resolutions. And this innovation was important. So actually, for the jury, what was very interesting for us, that when we looked at the 20 entries, we made our own individually, our own shortlist as we normally do. But the interesting thing was that the shortlist of all of 4 jury were quite similar in the way that there were a group at the top that actually were taking more sophisticated approach to the 5 points that I made, and there were others. And we thought that in order to be able to judge them fairly, we had to actually set up a criteria. Maybe this is something we should think about next year. So the criteria that we based our assessments were: 1, research and context awareness, specific to, of course, the villages. Criteria number 2 was urban planning and strategy, how some of the project made sure that they go beyond internal and enclosed kind of proposals, and it actually extend beyond the building and into connecting the fragmented to the landscape. Number 3 criteria was the concept, the innovation in concept, or the clarity of concept, and the new concepts that some of the projects had. But some of them we really enjoyed reading the concepts, and the texts were quite clear. Criteria number 4 was the architecture and spatial resolution, and criteria number 5 was presentation and clarity of the submissions. So based on these, we actually gave them equal marks to each one of the 5 criteria, and we came up with 4 shortlists, unanimously agreed by our jury, 4 jury, and we agreed that unquestionably they were the top 4 shortlists. It was very difficult, of course, to find a winner. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. We really did enjoy looking at the projects, and I really would like to thank the submissions, because whether there were winners or not winners, whether you have been shortlisted or not shortlisted, we enjoyed seeing it because there's quite an extensive committed work for each one of the submissions. So that's really to be credited. So now I'd like to pass it on to Angela and Yara to make their own comment, and of course Rim as well. So if we could, each member could make some comments about specifically. Thank you.
Rim, shall I come in next?
Yes, of course, please go for it.
Yeah.
Angela and then Yara,
yeah. Hi, everybody. It's great to have this gathering and so many people. And Salman, you are just there aren't words to describe your contribution to this whole competition for 8 years now. And it's been such a joy to work with you and the team, Lara, Yasser and Rim, and others in the past few years. It has really been an eye-opener. You know, as you can hear from my accent, I'm Irish, working in London for many years with these guys. But in 2008, when I went to Palestine and we visited the group with Nadia Habash, who you will all know, I'm sure, and just to be on the ground in Ramallah and in the different places and in the Hebron, and we went to several different villages, and to see the richness of your culture was just so beautiful. And I have so many happy memories, as do our team of 6 architects that went over on this exchange mission. And we have remained friends with all of our friends that we met from that time and from 2008. So our passion is with you guys, and solidarity and support all the way is what we can do. So looking at the entries with 21 different schemes with groups of people, it was a real joy to look at the way that the interpretation of what the villages were, the information that you can get from all of the maps, from all of the books, from Salman's history and information, from your own conversations with people and from your own knowledge and history and family, and to have all of that brought forward and then translated into a contemporary village community fantastic vision for how you see the future of these villages, and the inspirational ideas that we were looking at was really tremendous. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that actually entered this, and we enjoy it as a group of architects that are here in UK, in London, looking at this. But it is it's just great to see so many different ideas. You know, some of them were kind of quite subtle, and then when you look deeper and deeper into them, you can see there's a real politically strong message there. And then others are just very imaginative in their vision for what it could be. You know, what it could be, as if it was anywhere else in the world, thinking about what they would do for their village. This is you thinking about what you are going to do for yours. And let's hope that this will come to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Yara, please do share with us your thoughts and
Thank you,
comments.
Angela. Thank you, Reem. Thank you, Nasser. Thank you, Dr. Salman, and welcome everyone to being here. I'm very honored to be part of the jury. If I may just say, as a Palestinian myself, how honored I am to be part of this, but also how proud I feel with the kind of entries that we've seen, with the talent, with the capacity that you as students from Palestinian universities and from Arab universities possess. Your role is very important. I will not talk much about the content of the competition because I'm sure my colleagues will talk about it, but I probably more want to talk about the importance of your role as Palestinian architects within this current context. It is not easy within this current colonial context to challenge the colonial narrative. It is not easy also to kind of engage with the politics of the place, because we are all engaged in the politics of the place. We're all politicized in one way or another because we're emotionally engaged. The challenge is how you direct this into an architectural, to use your architecture as a tool to talk politics. And I think what's important about this competition is the way you've managed to direct that, to come up with creative, innovative way. And most importantly is that we need within the current political context a new way to narrate Palestine, new ways to narrate the conflict. And you've done it in a very innovative way. And really, I want to congratulate you for that. I just wanted to use a quote, if you forgive me, from Edward Said, which I think is very important because it's very architectural. The quote of Edward Said talks about the stateless condition and adaptation of Palestinians. He says, in 1986, we too have lost the sense of space. We think of Palestine not as an extensive Palestinian state, but as a small, extremely congested piece of land from which we've been pushed. Every effort we take to retain our Palestinian identity is also an effort to get back on the map. But the map, like the land itself, or like the walls of our houses, is also so saturated, cluttered, congested that we have had to get used to working with an already worked over space. I think what's been amazing about your entries is that despite the confusing landscape, despite the congestion, despite the distortion and erasure, you have a very clear ideas, very clear agendas, and very innovative one that talk about Palestine as a whole, talk about Palestine as a whole map. And this is a platform for us to remember that when we talk about Gaza, we talk about historic Palestine, we talk about the diaspora, all of it constitute what Palestine and the Palestinian means. And for that, we should really be very proud. And just finally, I want to say I'm very proud that I am myself a graduate from a Palestinian university, Birzeit University, and I'm so glad that I see a lot of my also old tutors and colleagues, and some students of whom also I know that became now part of Architects for Gaza, and I'm glad also a lot of members of Architects for Gaza are here. So it is very important that we widen the network, share our forces, and share our resources towards one goal, which is empowerment and liberation. Thank you all, and it's the mental liberation that you have done that we are all proud of.
Thank you so much, Yara. And just to go on off what Yara mentioned about Architects for Gaza, who have been working, and it's so nice to see these familiar faces as well. Shumi, I can see Lu'ay, Laila, Najia. So they've been working tirelessly behind the scenes on a few clusters. So we've got the reconstruction cluster, we've got the educational cluster, and done quite a few collaborations as well in terms of the educational cluster within Najah University as well. So thank you so much for joining, and so lovely to see you with us today as well. I haven't written any speech or anything about the today's about the submissions that we received this year. Usually I have something to say, like a nicely structured thing, but I think the reason for this is because out of all the years, this year felt like the submissions they really struck us on an emotional level. And for once, when I was viewing these submissions, I felt that as though the architecture that I was reading was a body. It felt as though it had a soul and a heart. And this is something which really came through very strongly. Like, how do we get to understand a people through architecture, as Yara mentioned as well. So this is something which was very well executed in the submissions, and something that I would really like to congratulate all the students and teams on doing. I'm not going to talk too much as we do have a very tight schedule, so I will let the students do the talking, and I would like to invite, in no particular order, for the teams to present their work. Each team has 5 minutes to present, so please do forgive me if you feel that I am rushing you, but as the time is tight, I will be giving you pointers when you have about 1 minute left to present. Presentations will be in English, and I have all the work compiled in a presentation which I will be sharing. So can Al-Quds University AQU01 please present, and I will be sharing my screen.
And just to
at the
follow
same time.
on, Reem, kindly focus more about your architectural project so your time doesn't go too much into explaining the context.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So I will start from my project title as Reviving the Depopulated Village of El Mazar, Palestinian Collective Memories Theater. Well, the idea of choosing the village of El Mazar comes from its historical and symbolical importance, as Mazar in Arabic means a place of visitation. El Mazar was once a lively village, was destroyed and abandoned by occupation and Nakba, and since then it lost its spirit. So my project aims to bring it back to life through the architectural function of theater. The theater will breathe new life into the village by using theater elements such as sounds, lights, gatherings, and performance. So what's making my project unique is its focus on preserving intangible heritage. While most restoration focuses on tangible heritage or concrete stuff, theater will revive the oral narration traditions, dialects, and folk songs that El Mazar people have kept alive even after the displacement to Jenin refugee camp. So the village is linked to the Jenin refugee camp, where the villagers were displaced, and where Jenin refugee camp is an essential part of the Palestinian whole narrative. So the first theatrical intervention in Jenin refugee camp before liberation, where the villagers completed their narrative there. And of course, in addition to the artistic value of the Jenin refugee camp, as it contains the Freedom Theater or Masrah al-Hurriya Theater, where the theater is a tool of resistance. So the first intervention in Jenin refugee camp, so it's some spots on the Jenin refugee camp allays. And this will be a small structure, will make the people of the camp make some plays and express their self. Okay, so the village of El Mazar has been chosen for its unique strategic location, perched on a hill that overlooks surrounding displaced villages. This vantage point makes it an ideal site for an open-air theater, naturally utilizing the land's contours to create terraced seating. So I use the natural contour to create the open-air theater. The theater will not only revival the spirit of the village, but also help reclaim Palestinian identity and the stories that the occupation has tried to erase. So that done by various theatrical elements in Jenin refugee camp in the present and distributed over the hill after liberation in El Mazar land. So it's contain closed theater, underground, puppet tiny theaters, in the open air theater, and of course open air theater on the top of the hill. So the theater isn't confined to one space. The hill and its landscape are the theater's stage, while the Palestinian people become the narrators and actors of the story. The play itself is the Palestinian narrative, where the Palestinian people will tell the true story of the land of Palestine there. So you can see here a space where the people gathering and discuss their memories and their stories together, and different stories, of course. And then we have a lot of elements that support the theater, like this tower. You can see all the free villages around the El Mazar theater because it's on the hill, so you can see all the villages around. You can see this tiny theaters or habitable sculpture. You can make puppet theaters or puppet plays here. And of course, we have the Old Town Mahka Park or the Mahka. I work with this Old Town like it's a play itself, and all the people, the important people of the Al Mazar, it's like the heroes of this play, and you just go around and see the stories of the old stories before Nakba. Okay, and inside we have the atrium and different photos of the people. See, so you can change your clothes and make your own story, like because all Palestinian people have own story. And of course, we have exhibitions. So each things you do in the workshop, like puppets, props, or memories, when you write your story, you can put it on the archive, and of course, presenting it in the exhibition.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Zainab. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone.
Ask the German Jordanian University GJU012, please.
Freedom's lasting call. Beit Jibrin Reporters Without Borders project focuses and seeks to preserve their village's history while amplifying voices long suppressed by occupation. By linking three main standing structures till today, which are the Bill Caves, the courthouse, and the mosque, which were the main meeting points for Palestinians. Beit Jibrin is located in Al Khalil, and the village site is part of the World Heritage Sites with the UNESCO, where they erased the part that says that Beit Jibrin was existing there, and the Arabs lived in that, and Palestinians lived in that village. So the main subjective information is that to preserve this history, I had to research the village's history and how the caves were used by Palestinians living in that area and how these villages were caved, the voices of these people where they were as storage spaces and living spaces as well. Next slide, please. So the villages site, I had to choose a very specific site that goes below the World Heritage sites that are chosen. So on the map, where the UNESCO site and the selected site, we can see that I chose on the borders of the selected site by the Heritage World site, where I had to link the mosque and the courthouse together. So the mosque and the courthouse will be renovated, and the mosque will be renovated as its religious aspect. The courthouse will be replaced, and the function of it will be as another subjective layer inside the project. This link will create a platform for Reporters Without Borders to be created. So we can see that the selected I took the void of the bell caves and I translated into an architectural form. This form helped me later on to create the link between the 2 and 3 sites, which is the mosque, and the courthouse, and in between there will be the Reporters Without Borders base. Reporters Without Borders is an organization that is based in Paris, France, where it helps in creating like a platform for reporters to raise their voice against occupation and injustice in the whole world. We can see that the link was created by integration connections, and then the user routes where people can start from the main platform where the mosque is, and then enter into the museum that tells a story about the caves and the villages itself, and then going all the way to the caves by creating this interactive route that tells the story of the caves, and people can go over the site of the village where it used to exist. Later on, they will come back and ascend towards the Reporters Without Borders base, which is located close to the courthouse. And this route lets people to interact with the Reporters Without Borders and learn about it, and learn how to raise their voice against occupation. Next slide, please. In the site plan, we can see that the mosque is to the left with the where the platform is. This is the main entrance of the project. And then going towards the museum, and then going to the second platform that takes them to the where the main bell cave shaped structure will take them towards the caves. Going back into the Reporters Without Borders, which is a collection of these bell cave-like shaped structures, where each structure will tell the story of the caves. In the main 3D shot, we can see to the right, we can see the main entrance, and then going through the museums, which is like an interactive space open for all the people to join and see, and then going through the bridge and the third slice over, going to the caves and coming back from the tunnel under the main street of the village. And then going through the Reporters Without Borders, and lastly, focusing on the main martyred reporters of Palestine. And this memorial will tell the story of each Palestinian murdered and martyred reporter, where you can learn the story, light a candle, or read something religious to them, and connect with them and their stories.
Thank you
And
so
the
much,
section-
Abdullah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks so much. Next up, can I please ask for the Hashemite University in Jordan HUJ01 to present?
Al Zaytun is a village in the northern part of Palestine in the Upper Galilee,
which is an area that is mountainous, and it houses the highest hilltops of Palestine, the highest hilltop, Jabal al-Jarmaq, and the highest city, Safad. Safad is a city that sits at the hilltop adjacent to the village, 1.6 kilometers away from us. And so we are neighbors. There's one footpath connecting the village to the city that runs through the Basatine, the farming lands that used to belong to the village. We can go to the next slide. The project proposes, let's talk about the massacre first. The Ijtiyah, the massacre, happened at start of May 1948, where Zionists, to be able to take over the northern Palestine, had the ultimate target of taking over the city, Safad. But because it was on a higher hilltop, the more geopolitically powerful spot, they had targeted the village first, took it over, and used it as both victim and weapon to attack, depopulate it, and then also used to take over Safad by breaking down the village, having Safad locals watch the breakdown from the hilltop of Safad, and so fearing and fleeing. And so this makes the story a story of an abuse of this hilltop and these lands. And this brings life to the observation tower, the main element of the design. It is a man-made hilltop that is seen in the horizon, looking back at you, whether from Safad or otherwise, constantly reminding you that today you too are a witness of the injustices happening all around the world, reminding you to seek knowledge and truth and to stand loud and firm in this truth. The design proposal proposes to create, first of all, a farming hub and a museum that retells the story of this village and divides the farming hub between the city and the village to reconnect them and have them converse. And so the locals of Safad and the tourists in the city are pulled into the mill, which receives produce from the harvest and creates produces olive oil and the juices of grapes and whatnot, and then also leads the visitors towards the pathway down the hilltop and to the village on the other side. The watcher itself, the village itself, Ain al-Zaytun, sits on a main road, and so it does play the part of a traveler's rest station. The rest station is connected to the museum, trying to pull people who do not know the story to move into the museum and hear the actual story of the village. Let's go to the next slide. The museum is divided into three main zones: the essence of the village, the Nakba, and the resistance. The essence of the village starts with a space that is bracketed between two points of nature, one of which being symbolic of the foresty nature of the area, and the other being a terraced farming, symbolic of the agricultural heritage of the area. The next space, and these create Ayn ala Zaytun and Nasm al-Jabal. The next space is Nakba, which is a focus on one piece of land where the buildings and the spaces rotate around it, looking at this piece of land from different points of perspective and different altitudes, and so seeing a different part of the story. The first one being Nasm al-Jabal from the previous one, the foresty symbolic space. The second one being Mahab al-Dabbur, foreign winds, where the user descends in altitude and so loses power until he gets to a space where the ground beneath their feet is pulled away and he is now walking on glass tiles. And this is symbolic of displacement, which most of the people of the village were. We're still not done, sorry. The next space is Rukam, which is rubble, and this is a space where the user looks up at rubble, a symbol of the loss of life.
The last one is resistance. The resistance is the tower itself, which is a climb upwards that starts with the Batn al-Hut, Jonah's whale, where you look upwards this time, looking at water. Again, finally, the re-presence of life and kind of like a promise of hope pulling you upwards. And throughout the journey upwards, we've got Mathiyat Shaheed, Elegy of a Martyr, where the user looks downwards this time, but instead of seeing an empty trail of soil like he used to see in other spaces, this time he would see plants, life growing up. And that is the symbolism of what a martyr is to us. It is a loss that is a gain, and something that decreases but increases us. And then the last, the very end scene where you get to the very top of the tower, we can go to the next slide, is the observation point, looking back at the masjid, the Ain, which are the 2 points, the 2 features that are already there on the site, and looking out at Safad and on all the surrounding hilltops. And this is the watcher.
Thank you so much, Nagam. Thank you so much. Next up, I would like to ask the Hashemite University of Jordan HUJ02 to please present.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello, everyone. I am Ahmed Ayyash, and my project were in Abu Shusha village. Abu Shusha village, known as Bilad al-Rawha, was celebrated for its relaxing atmosphere, abundant water springs, rich physical and musical heritage. So the project aims to honor this legacy by blending historical commemoration with future revitalization. So at first I made a zoning for the village and chose the project site on the highest hill in the village. Next slide, please. Okay, my project name is Beyond Border. Beyond Borders is an architectural project dedicated to the revival and preservation of Abu Shusha village, and an architectural statement that integrates multiple disciplines, reflecting the story of the responsibility involved in rebuilding a destroyed village, and the symbols in the project convey to the story of Palestinian resistance, which goes beyond rebuilding just buildings to meet material needs only, non-material as well. Why I choose Beyond Borders? Because of the big impact of the apartheid wall and the borders on the Palestinian people. And the destruction of this border is evidence of victory. My project, 3 main aspects to my project are: the first one is قضية شعب. The project is linked to time, creating a temporal connection between the past, present, and future. The philosophy of storytelling in the project is to highlight the Palestinian resistance and to present it theoretically through every detail in form, size, material, and sequence of the internal experience. This approach aims to preserve Palestinian collective memory, reminding future generations of the occupation. It serves as a clear witness to the story of
We lost you.
Ahmed, can you hear us? We can't hear you. Is there anyone else from HUJ02 who may be able to continue the presentation if Ahmed needs a bit of time?
It's an individual submission, but I think he lost internet connection.
Okay, no worries.
Reem, do you think you can flip through it yourself?
Yeah, I'll do
or-
that myself.
I have some information on his project. Could I maybe read it through? I think he was going to read most of what I'm going to read now. Maybe.
Sure. Sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
Yes, please. Okay. Beyond Borders is an architectural project dedicated to the revival and preservation of Abu Shusha village, and an architectural statement that integrates multiple disciplines reflecting the story of the responsibility involved in rebuilding a destroyed village. Why Beyond Borders? Because of the big impact of the apartheid wall and the borders on the Palestinian people, and the destruction of these borders is evidence of victory. There are three main aspects to the project. قضية شعب. The project is linked to time, creating a temporal connection between the past, present, and future. The philosophy of storytelling in the project is to highlight the Palestinian presence and represent it
I'm here.
theatrically.
I'm here.
Okay, okay, take over.
Okay, sorry, I lost the connection. Okay, so I was in the second aspect, which is South Samud. The internal borders aim to صوتي مسموع?
Yeah, مسموع, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. The internal borders aim to convey the audio experience of the Palestinian people, and every section in the project named as قضية section. So every قضية section has a time, represent time and the story, with tangible and intangible aspects that aim to make you hear and see before you enter this section. And these borders are act as sound control. So when we call about peace, these borders work as diffusers, and when we in war, these borders act as reflector. Okay. The third aspect was Hafawat Nasr. Using the upper side wall as a cornerstone of the project and burying and mocking it is the project goal to convey the reality of the occupation as fragile and weak, not as its itself as strong. So we see in this picture the borders are very big and huge, but inside these borders are void and weak in reality. Okay, the next picture. The project also اللي قبل نرجع واحدة كمان واحدة احنا طلعنا عنهم. Okay. The project also includes a platform for future generations for business and productive workshops. Reviving the village is a goal that cannot be achieved without providing opportunities for the resistance who will return to their land. Next slide. Okay, the project includes functions inspired by the Palestinian story, such as the Stone Gate, which is the introduction to the project and highlights the connection between the Palestinian people and the stone, which they fought against the occupation, and the Rock Hall, which shows the historical and religious importance of Palestine, and why is the cause of occupation ambition. And the memorial park includes an expanded representation of the exploited apartheid wall, preserving Palestinian plaques as a tribute to the memory of liberation. The next slide. So these are shots of the project, and thank you for your listening.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. I will stop sharing my screen now.
Okay, that's it.
I would like to invite Dr. Salman to conclude with final remarks before we announce the winners.
Are we ready? First of all, I cannot fail but offer great thank you to all the jury who helped us in the last 8 years. Their dedication, their support, their sound judgment, and their dedication to the cause of reconstruction is amazing. Is the product of their judgment and support. I thank them very much. Now, are we ready to announce the awards?
We're ready.
Yes? All right. One more thing I would like to add. The young people who are participating in the competition are in their 20s. Yet, according to the jury, they created wonderful designs with creativity of a Palestine they have never seen 76 years ago. Of course, they know about it from their parents and from their history and from their suffering all this time. But the way they created Palestine 76 years ago is not only affirmation of its long history and geography, but it's also the view of a creative future, that they maintain the history, but they create a new future with all the amenities, with all the ingredients of future Palestine. So they deserve every support. Now it's my pleasure to announce the awards for this year. The awards, as you know, are monetary and certificate of participation. I'm going to announce them in reverse order. There is a commendation presentation for Ru'a Basim Manasra on her village of Safuriya in Qada al-Nasra, and she is from Al-Najah University, supervised by Dr. Hassan Al-Qadi. Congratulations, Ru'a. You have got commendation letter. The other commendation is given to a group of students from Birzeit University about the Beit Jibrin village. The group of students are Majd Sayyid Ahmed, Lian Shhada, Na'ma Maher. They are supervised by Dr. Muhammad Jawabra. Congratulations, Majd and Lian and Na'ma. Now, the third award, third prize, goes to Abdullah Rziqat on his chosen village, Beit Jibrin. He is supervised by architect Thair Qub'a from German Jordan University. Now we go to the second prize. Second prize this year is jointly taken by two groups. One of them, second prize, is for Zainab Jamous on her village Al-Mazar in Jenin district. And she is from Al-Quds University, supervised by Dr. Maha Saman. And the second joint award goes to Nagam Maher Abu Saud about her village Ain al-Zaytun, Safad district, and she was supervised by Dr. Yaman al-Bitawi from the Hashemite University of Jordan. Well, the Hashemite University of Jordan is a newcomer, but they have done very well in this competition because the first prize is for a student from this university, from the Hashemite University, and the first prize goes to Ahmed Adel Ayash, whom you have just heard just now, and his village is Abu Shusha in Haifa. As you may know, Abu Shusha is a village repeated 3 times in Palestine, but his village was Haifa, Abu Shusha in Haifa district. And he was supervised by Dr. Hala Ghanem. Mabruk to all of you. Mabruk to all of you. And we hope that you will, your universities will participate in year 9 of this competition. But there is something I want to tell you about year 9, which you know already. This year 8, we have missed Gaza students. Now in year 9, we'll have them. We located them, some of them under the rubble, in torn tents and in makeshift places. But we have arranged for them to have makeshift arrangement so that they are supervised and able to continue their research during the year. So we will bring back Gaza students this year. We'll bring them back because we are never going to be defeated. We are never going to be defeated. And they are going to not only build Gaza from under the rubble, but they are going to build whole of Palestine, because Palestine is our country, and this is their duty to build it. You may know that in the last 8 years, we have participation from over 300 students who are now mostly practicing architects. So they are in the practical field, in the real field, and they will have, I'm sure, a part to play in the future of Palestine. If there is nothing else to do we have something else?
I actually wanted to ask if jury might have any final comments now that it's been
Yes, all right.
presented.
Right, all right.
But also it would be nice to hear. It
I
would be nice
defer.
to.
I
Okay.
defer and say and end this session when they do their part. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it would also be very nice to hear from the winners and the supervisors and the tutors. If you have a few words, we would like to invite you to please share with us.
Could I just say, I think everybody needs to turn on their microphone and give a loud clap and a whale and a congratulations, not only to the winners, but to everyone who took part. So turn off your microphones so that they're on. Big clap to all the winners and to everyone who took part. It's always good to hear a bit of noise.
Very good.
Thank you,
Well,
Angela.
maybe we start with reverse order this time. Yeah, Rim, what would you like to say? A few words, followed by Yara and Angela, and then me.
Yeah, it's always lovely to hear the projects explained. I mean, there's a lot of the times in architecture we say we let the drawings do the talking, but of course it's something different when we get to hear from, the mastermind of the project, what went through and the ideas that went through. And I guess that kind of gives us some ideas maybe for the future on how submissions can be done as well. Really amazing projects, really touching the poetic the kind of poetic architecture of it all. And again, like I said in the beginning, it felt almost like the architecture that was presented had a heart and a soul to it, and it really did come through when this was explained during the presentation. So thank you so much to the winners, and thank you so much to all the students who submitted. Always very inspiring, and always such a joy to go through these presentations.
Thank you, Reem. Well done. Congratulations, everyone. Just to say that really the 6 projects that we've looked at, it was not an easy kind of way to select. We spent a very long time. We had to come up with a criteria because after all, we see all projects winning. We had to come to a division at some point, but it is one of the very few years where, as Nasser mentioned, they are really all outstanding. The beauty is, as Reem mentioned, it's the concept and the poetry, but also the ability to kind of negotiate the ideas into complex architectural propositions across the big scale of Palestine, and then zooming into the scale of the buildings, all the winning entries were really in control of the architectural proposition, urban scale, the building itself, or the proposition, very original and new ideas about the villages that go beyond, say, the conventional or what we're familiar with, whether it is about how you approach the caves or how you approach the watchtowers or how you approach this idea of the theater or how you approach the gates and the boundaries, really just to say a few at this stage. Or also the big urban scheme, we also felt that they deserve a very specific credit themselves because they were trying to come up with innovative strategies. So overall, really very complex. Mabruk, well done. And mabruk to the tutors and to the universities who are able to produce such a beautiful work.
I wonder if, Angela, if you have any words to say.
Well, only my only thing is really to echo in a way, Rim, what you were saying. You know, that 5-minute presentation from everybody in your own words, emphasizing the way you can just hone into your presentation in a simpler way for us to understand immediately what you're talking about. I think that should be the criteria for next year as part of the presentation, because it just brings the projects alive so much. But it's always such a pleasure working with the whole team here and looking at all of your wonderful projects. And the big thing, the one word I think that comes out of this for me is like the architecture of hope. And that's really what this is all about. So well done, everybody.
Well, I don't think I can really add much to all the wonderful statements, and just to say that well done, congratulations, really interesting, complex. We're saying it this year, we really enjoyed because the level and the quality and the standard of architectural and spatial resolution is very high. And importantly, that they have all social and political statements. They have a stand. There's a maturity. What I liked about reading the statements, and of course listening to yourselves today, was the maturity, the level of maturity that comes out of your project. You already, as architects, have a position. You've already stated your position, and I think you should be really proud. And I really must emphasize again that the top 4, the first, the joint second, and the third, they're all first class. When we mark them, you know, when we marked them, we thought, okay, let's imagine this is what we're looking at here in London at University of Westminster or wherever. So that's how we looked at it. We said, okay, what's our first class? It's 70. Outstanding, 80, 90, etc. Merit, etc. So that's exactly how we assessed it, actually, out of 100, imagining, comparing it to what happens here. So except that what you've done is much better than what we do in here, because majority of the work that is done in here is assessed based on the spatial and resolution, and not the outstanding socio-political stand that you guys, your project, have. So well done, beautiful poetry, beautiful concept, and you're all winners. And thank you very much for sharing your work with us. And I must also really thank the tutors, because it's clear that there is a consistency in the projects, and I'm sure that comes from the tutors as well as the students. So well done, the tutors, for your hard work.
Maybe we can have a few words. I would like to invite Abdullah Al-Zariqat and Supervisor Architect Thair, if you would like to give a
Thank
few
you,
words.
I'm here. Abdullah, are you here? Let's wait for Abdullah. I want to thank you, especially Dr. Salman, for the great job and continuous effort for the forever. And I want to thank the jury members. Your hard work is much appreciated. This year was hard because of what's happening in Gaza. It was too emotional. Started. So it really affected the process and how it came out. Abdullah was very involved and very emotionally at first the project was named Aboud, the small reporter from Gaza. But Abdullah wanted to give the people in Gaza a voice, so it was very emotional and it was hard. At all times, but I'm glad he came up with this brilliant project. I love his project, and I think all the participants I saw the fourth project I saw today very high caliber. فيعطيكم العافية جميعا. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure if Abdullah is with us at the moment, but
Hello.
yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yes,
Sorry,
yes,
I had
yes,
like
yes.
a connection problem. Yeah. I would like to thank all the jury members and all the participants in this competition. First of all, it's been a pleasure to join such a very heartwarming and very powerful competition. In the process, it's been, as the Muhaddis said, that it's been a very emotional and a hard period of time to actually do this project. The main focus was to give voice for all the Palestinians and all, as each Palestinian is a journalist now, as we can see it in our eyes. So I would give a tribute to all of them. I would give homage to all of them in this project. And that's mainly the main focus, what was I was trying to do in this project. Second of all, the village itself also inspired a lot when it came to how the story had been erased of the village and the layers of the village has been all erased. And as I was trying to bring them all to the surface, this was the main subjective idea. So thank you all, and I appreciate all your comments and all the effort that's been put in this competition. And a big thank you to my supervisor, of course, Muhaddis Tahir.
Thank you so much, Abdullah. I would like to invite Zainab and Dr. Maha to give a few words.
Hello, good evening. It's thank you very much, Dr. Salman. It's always inspiring to hear you talking about the depopulated villages. It was a pleasure to participate in this competition. It's a learning process, not only for the students, but also to all jury members at the university, because we discuss every time the project is developed, we all discuss it together. So it's always nice to hear more about the specifics of the villages that we choose. I would like to congratulate all the students, and for Zainab, congratulations. It was a pleasure supervising your project. Your dedication was amazing. So congratulations and thank you for the jury members. I know it's not easy to choose, but great job and thank you so much.
So much, Dr. Maha. Zainab, you're on mute. I don't know if there's anything you want to say, but
I want first to thank the organizer for giving me this opportunity, of course, but I want to thank my supervisor, Dr. Maha Saman, for believing in me and encouraging me to apply for this competition, and she insisted me to be on this competition. I think this project has renewed my hope for returning to our homeland soon, especially since I started working on the project at the same time as the beginning of this Israeli occupation massacres against Palestinian people, of course. So working on this project has been a form of resistance to this injustice and represents a hope for a future of liberation and peace. And thank you all.
thank you so much, Zainab. And I'd like to invite Nagham and Dr. Yamin to give a few words as well.
Naham, you can start. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I would like to, of course, thank the people behind the scenes working on this competition. Thank you for the opportunity to have us step out of university and do such and be part of such a big thing. being the very first thing we do out of university. This is going to be a very memorable day, I think, a very memorable start of a career. Alhamdulillah. And thank you to my doctor, Dr. Yamin. I really did bother him a lot all year long. Thank you to Dr. Hala as well. She was very supportive all the time. I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful that during this year where we had to watch the things happening in Gaza, I was able to find a place to kind of for my anger and my emotions watching. That was how The Watcher was born. So alhamdulillah, I'm thankful for that. Thanks everyone. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Naam.
Okay, thank you very much. Congratulations for all the winners and for all those who participated in this competition this year. I know it was so hard this year to do such work. And as you mentioned, this actually was the first entry and the first contribution for our university in this competition. And we felt like it is part of our responsibility and commitment to what is happening now in Gaza and in Palestine to at least do a very little, let's say, contribution in helping doing something to what is happening, at least from our perspective or from our professionality. So I'm glad that we did well this year, and I'm glad also that we helped in, let's say, delivering the message and helping also to contribute or to build, let's say, part of what this whole competition is committed to do. Thank you very much for all the jurors, and thank you very much for all the committee that I'm sure they did a lot reviewing all these contributions, all these entries. Thank you very much, and congratulations again for all the winners and for Nagham. And thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yamin. And finally, I would like to invite Ahmed and Dr. Hala to say a few words.
Yalla, Ahmed, you can start. You missed the announcement, so you have to start first.
حاضر دكتور. السلام عليكم جميعا. بالبداية أنا بحب أتوجه بالشكر لكل القائمين على هاي المسابقة. هاي المسابقة بحد ذاتها هي مش بس مسابقة مشاريع تخرج والطلاب تتنافس فيها. وجودها بحد ذاته هو دليل على إيمان الشعب الفلسطيني والشعب العربي كله بأنه فلسطين رح ترجع بيوم من الأيام. إحنا قاعدين نصمم مشاريع ونطلع أفكار لمشاريع. إحنا يعني الفترة الزمنية لوجودها هي بعد التحرر، فإحنا هذا الشيء بمجرد وجوده ونحن مأمنين فيه، فهاي بداية خير لتحرير فلسطين إن شاء الله. وإن شاء الله إحنا نكون مش بس الجيل اللي بيصمم فلسطين، إحنا الجيل اللي يحررها ويصممها ويعمرها بإذن الله. فلذلك أنا بشكركم جدا على هاي الفرصة اللي أتحتوا لي إياها وعلى فكرة هاي المسابقة الأكثر من رائعة. بهالمسابقة أنا يعني مش بس كنت تجربة جديدة وفريدة بالنسبة لي، مش بس كنت فيها أصمم إشي معماري، لا أبدا، أنا كانت كل حواسي شغالة بهذا المشروع. تعمقت فيه أكثر بالقضية الفلسطينية وفتت في كل تفاصيله. وفعلا هذا المشروع ما طلع من فراغ، يعني كان درست كل زاوية فيه، كنت أشتغل جد بشغف وبحب يعني. عشان هيك يمكن طلعت معي بهاي النتيجة. وأكيد أكيد أكيد بتوجه بالشكر للدكتورة الفاضلة دكتورتي المشرفة دكتورة حلا غانم، اللي كانت مآمنة فيه من البداية وكانت تشجعني بكل خطوة بخطوها. كنا نعمل إشي غير مألوف كانت تحكي لي إنه جو أهيد، ما بالعكس يعني كنت شفت منها كل الدعم. وبشكر قسم الهندسة المعمارية من الجامعة الهاشمية، القامة العلمية العظيمة اللي برئيسها دكتور يامن البيتاوي، اللي بتوجه له الشكر ولدعمه إلي طول مسيرتي بهاي السنة. شكرا 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 من القلب، شكرا جزيلا.
Who's gonna translate your lovely words, Ahmed?
It's hard to translate that, but I'll try to couple it. I'll repeat some. It was so bad that he missed the announcement, but we'll clap again for him on the phone or something, over the phone. I would like to thank you all, and thank you, jury members, and also thank you for such a competition. You created this like environment in our department. We had like multiple group feedbacks. We were very proud of both Nagham, Ahmed, their works. I want to thank Ahmed for his passion, and it was so emotional. And at some point, it was very personal for him. His project, it was like very personal, and we had it opened the door for multiple discussions, starting with my colleague, who I want to thank him, Dr. Yamin al-Bitawi, for his great insight as well, and for his peer Nagham. And also we had multiple discussions with different people, because we we knew we're doing something different, and it was a bit courageous. Sometimes different in a way people won't accepted it, and others were like very happy of that. So we kind of welcomed the difference. And Ahmed was open to all the perspectives, but also he kept working on his idea from the very beginning. And I actually think his work is based on a huge body of research that he worked on for 3 or 4 months at the beginning. And it was the amount of research that he did made him more emotional and more attached to the project. I want to thank him for, like, first and foremost, for his passion, and because he stuck to his ideas, but also developed it and built it into a better project. And what you've seen is a developed body of work that can still be developed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Salman, and all the people behind this competition.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hala. I would like to quickly just give the mic back to Nasser for a few words, and then we can conclude with Dr. Salman.
Thank you, Rim. Thank you, everyone. Amazing to hear you, Hala. You know, typical tutors. There's still more for them to do. He's produced the most outstanding project. Very complex. Win the first prize. Of course, as tutors, oh, there's still more to do. Anyway, it's been fantastic. Thank you very much. Really great to hear you. I think as the presentations were going, of course, this year is a very special year, where we can see it in the emotions and in the intellectual kind of content of the projects and the presentations. And I think what we need to do is, within ourselves, I think we need to publicize these projects somehow in much more broader, to share it at much bigger audience, and whether even that we kind of organize some kind of a mini exhibition. So before we do that, I thought as a starting point, I would like to ask, because we have a good number of Architects for Gaza present here today, which is great to see you all. So I would like to invite Shumi to say a few words and about the potential possible publication, and at least sharing the projects. Thank you, Shumi.
Thank you, Nasser, and thank you, all of you. I mean, oh, it's an incredible way for me to end the working week here in London with all these visions of hope. I've been meeting with students lately, and as we come up to a year of the recent atrocities, a lot of our students are thinking, you know, what now, and what can we do, aside of talking and raising awareness and providing support to each other. So to end the week by seeing these works that are full of so much hope and so much poetry and so much meaning, and really, you know, really projects, not just labor where you work for a number of hours, but something that really projects a vision forward is really humbling. So thank you to all the participants. That means tutors, of course, as well as young designers who are putting themselves forward. And I agree with Nasser that I think it's important to share these visions of hope and where they're coming from, because it really, it's inspirational to others, and kind of, it's important to refocus where we're looking at. So in the first instance, would it be all right with all of you if we were to publish these projects on the Architects for Gaza website? I'm going to say that we will try to contact you and get the image files and whatnot from you. And if anyone has any objection, if anyone would rather not share their work or not be named for any reason, that's obviously totally okay. But we would love to share them and also make it easier for perhaps some press or other people to find that information. So if it's okay with you, we'll be in touch. Yeah? All right. Well, I think for now, just thank you so much, and I will be for sure. Or I've already been messaging students saying you won't believe what I'm seeing right now. So thank you for really giving us that hopeful vision. And back to Nasser.
Thanks, Shumi. Thank you so much.
Rim, thank you very much. Yeah, so I think that would be a starting point to publish it in our website, Architects for Gaza, and hopefully we'll discuss to see whether we can actually have a real physical exhibition as well in London that might travel elsewhere.
Thank you, Nasser. Thank you. Over to you, Salman. I know it's getting quite late for you.
I have a few points, concluding points. First one is to thank the jury once again, and once again, and once again. Now, I would like to add why I add this thank you again for the jury. Because after the end of each competition, each year, the jury comes up with new suggestions and new ideas to tell the students for the next year what to do. They learn and they see, they judge the competitions each year, and then they suggest addition and amendment to the terms of the competition for the following year. So the competition terms are improving each year according to the advice of the jury, and I thank them very much for that. Second thing is, I thank the supervisors. In our experience in 8 years, if the supervisors take care of their students, almost invariably they win. And therefore, I thank them for their attention and care about their students. They guide them, they shepherd them, they give them advice, they see if they have problems. When they do that, almost invariably, the students and the university win in that year. The third point I'd like to make, the choice of the villages. In our database, we have a huge database, about 530 villages. And we identify the location of the village, where is it, and if there are any encumbrances. For example, if the colonial settlements are approaching the village or not. So we have so far selected villages which have no impediment or little impediment. This year, we'd like to add villages which the settlers encroached upon the village, and therefore the students have to decide what to do with it. Do they have to demolish the settlements? Do they have to use it? Or they have to change it or whatever? So this is a challenge which I hope next year the students will address. The other thing is, we noticed that students each year think of some villages, popular villages, they repeat each year, because villages which have known history, like, for example, Tantura, like Dawaima, because they are very well known historically. No, this year we'd like to suggest villages which are less known, but part of the Palestinian landscape. And also, this year we're going to add extra villages for Gaza, so that Gaza will have more than their share of the selected villages this year. I hope the students and the supervisors actually guide the students towards these things. And for all of you, we post everything on our website, Palestine Line Society, so you can see the performance of students every year. In conclusion, thanks to all, and I hope to see more of you in year 9 with more creative ideas. And all of us have no doubt that we will build future Palestine. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rim. Thank you, Rim.
Thank you all.
guiding,
Thanks for attending.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Salman. My pleasure. It was so lovely to have everyone attend, and look forward to year 9.
Look forward to year
Looking
9.
forward.
See you
Yes,
next
thank
year.
you all very much
See you next
indeed.
year.
Well done,
thank you.
everybody.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Thank you. Bye.